Hey, podcast friends. This is Dr. Steve Hewlett with the podcast, Simple Healthy Choices for Weight Loss, where every week we help people who have realized that as their health has been declining over the years, the number of medications they are being prescribed is increasing. We want to help you reverse this health path so you can live the vibrant, pain-free, and hopefully medication-free life you deserve to live. If you'd like even more information on this topic, you can go to Amazon or Audible and pick up my book, Your Plate is Your Fate. And if you think my book helps you on your new health path, please tell your friends and leave a review where you purchased it. Well, welcome, podcast friends. And today, this is going to be another interview podcast. And this is going to be with a good friend of mine called Maurie Gingell. And if any of you have my book or have looked at my book, Maurie's actually one of the people that wrote a quote in the front of the book, because we've been talking about this whole nutrition change and getting off of carbohydrates and eating, drinking water, eating meat, fat, vegetables. And I just thought it'd be a good thing for you to kind of listen to the story that he went through and the walk that he's done, because he had quite a little walk. So Maurie, welcome to our podcast. And
well,
thank you so much for being on here.
I've been looking forward to this, actually. It's been a long time. Like you said, my story, I've been listening to you talk to me about this for over 10 years. And it took a, kind of a life-changing event for me to wake up and say, I probably need to get healthy. And that's what this is all about, is getting healthy. I was originally a district manager for Ryan Steakhouses. So I was in an all-you-could-eat buffet all the time. And my eating habits weren't correct. And when I had one of the healthiest restaurants to eat in, but I ate when everybody else wasn't. And it was usually on the road because I needed to get to the next restaurant or get home. And what was I doing? Pulling into a fast food place and eating stuff I did not need to be eating. And of course, you saw me progress over the years on it. And I'm glad to say now that since the 28, I'm down 26 pounds and 3 inches around my waist.
Oh, man, that is fantastic. Yeah. And you have no idea the quality of life you've just added to yourself.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing, especially about the book. And in the book, I reference that, it took, an eye-opening thing in my life to change, but it's really not that big a change once you really get into it. I mean, all you're doing is eating healthy. Yeah, it really is. I mean, I was thinking about this the other day. Rhonda's granddad lived to be, I think, 92. He was the oldest living person in Taney County. He ate everything homegrown off the farm.
Yep, that's the way it should.
He never ate any processed foods, drank water all the time, had a good, hard life. And I mean, basically, that's what we're going back to, is what our grandparents, did growing up.
Oh, right. Without a doubt. And that's the deal. We're trying to explain proper nutrition and healthy eating. But the sad thing is we're going against the food manufacturers and drug companies who are telling everybody, that carbohydrates and processed food is the way to eat. And you can look around and see that is not correct information whatsoever. So I'm so glad you started changing your ways.
Well, one of the hardest things with sugar, I think I read and doing research, I think there's like 75 different ways that they advertise sugar.
Oh, yes. All the different names for it. Yep.
Yeah. You've got to really educate yourself. And that's one good thing about the book. The one thing I like about it is you bring the technical part of what we're doing here down to where somebody like me can understand it. And it's like, oh, wow. I mean, I think you mentioned it that, and I may have my dates wrong, but before the 60s, it was kind of almost non-existent. You look at pictures from there, you don't even see a lot of overweight people.
Yeah. Back in the 60s, they said that it was the average amount of sugar that a person took in was about 2 teaspoonsful a day. And now in 2015, that had gone up to about 65 teaspoons of sugar per day per person on the average. That's huge. That's way more sugar than our body was ever supposed to be trying to handle. And that's crazy. And now you're seeing all the damage that's occurring because of it.
Yeah. And this probably was the hardest thing for me, was getting off sugar, being in the industry, like, in restaurants, all my life. Now I have a recruiting firm. Gecko Hospitality, I'm a franchise partner with them, and I still deal with restaurant people every single day. And we talk about it a lot. And I recommend the book to everyone. I probably signed several copies, just because they see me in the book. It's kind of nice. So I was at a franchise meeting, in Dallas, and Chris walked up to me and he goes, "Hey, would you mind signing your book?" And I went, signing my book. He goes, "Oh, I meant the book that you endorsed." And I said, "Oh yeah, not a problem at all." So, but when you have somebody like that come up to you and you've seen the effect that it's done, that they're actually trying to change their life. And like my friend Paige, who I had hooked you up on Facebook with, same thing. She was trying to tell people, hey, this is what you got to do. And they weren't believing her. And it was like she finally had a foundation to back her up saying, hey, we can get better by just eating healthier.
Yeah. I mean, she's going to be one that I'd like to have on as an interview also, because her story is amazing. How just getting off sugar, how it's changed her life too because of her condition. Yep. But so when you say you had trouble with sugar, was it eating sugar or drinking sugar or both?
Well, I quit drinking. It was kind of funny. Back in my 40s, I went in for my regular checkup and my doctor said, hey, you're getting at that age where you should probably look at your sugar intake so you don't come down with diabetes, and you might want to cut it in half. And I said, I'm not going to cut my sugar in half. He goes, well, how many Cokes do you drink a day? And I said, well, I'm in the restaurant industry, so probably 8 Cokes a day. He says, well, then drink 4. He said, that'll cut it in half. And then I got to thinking about it and I thought, well, this is crazy. Why don't I just completely eliminate it? Well, I tried the diet stuff and everything. And then I finally went to sweet tea. Growing up the South, that's what we were. Well, the sweet tea we did at Ryan's, where I was the district partner for, I mean, we took 2 pitchers of sugar and put it into a tea urn, you know, so that didn't help myself at all. Then I finally, this has been a while, it's been about 5 or 6 years ago. I just completely went to water and, and sweet tea and just got off the sugar. But I think the biggest thing is it was more of a stress thing with me with sugar. You reference in your book, it's more addictive than heroin. And I think when you get stressed, once again, when I'd get on the road, where do you go? You pull in to get gas. What do? You go into a convenience store and they market it. They put it right up near the counter. They want you to grab it and go. That's how addictive as a society we've become. They know what our trends are. They get it right there. And you're just, oh yeah, one of them's not going to hurt me. Well, 1 candy bar a night, that's a lot of sugar in a week. That's
a lot of sugar. And that's the other thing with sugar. And that's why a lot of restaurants do put a lot of sugar in their tea and everything, because it does make you hungry. So that's the problem. Exactly. So now you're getting killed by the sugar, getting killed by your insulin that your sugar is causing. And then it's also making you starving. And if you go to eat the same kind of stuff that you've been eating that got you in the bad place in the first place, now you're just multiplying, everything on top of each other. But just as easy as it spirals down, you can spiral it back up too, just by, like you said, just little bits at a time, just eliminate. And that's a big one. The worst way to put sugar in your body is in the liquid form. I mean, it goes in your mouth, in your stomach, and into your system, and insulin levels go up, and it's horrible.
Yeah, so, it's funny because Rhonda tells people now, she goes, I don't know what happened to my husband. He goes, he'll come up and he'll get a little bowl of yogurt with fruit in it. And he used to come up and, tear into the chocolate or cookies or whatever. And I don't do it anymore. And it's funny because once your palate adjusts, I mean, blueberries, they're sweet enough.
Oh, yeah.
I just got some strawberries from Aldi. I do a lot of shopping at Aldi. I mean, Whole Foods acquired them. So they have a lot of good produce and they've got some good homegrown beef and different things. So I go there. So that's something else I did. When I started the 28-day challenge, we still had sugar items and stuff in the home.
What 28-day challenge?
Or at the beginning.
They don't know.
Oh, I guess they don't know. Well, in order to get started, you want to go on Steve's 28-day challenge. Read the book, y'all. I mean, it's eye-opening. And so I got rid of everything. And so I don't shop like once a month where a lot of people will go to Sam's or to Walmart or Whole Foods, wherever they're going to go and buy a whole bunch of food and keep it. We buy fresh stuff every single day, pretty much. So it's like our beef. I mean, we don't freeze it. Chicken. We bought it. But we kind of plan out the week what we're going to do. And then I'm fortunate enough that I can run in and get what we need for that night or maybe 2 nights and get fresh vegetables, fresh fruits and keep them there. And if you don't have it in the house, you're not going to, succumb to a bad habit. And so that's what we've done. And one thing I developed recipes for Ryan's. And one of the things I thought to myself, if I could do that for a large company, I can do it for myself. Mm-hmm. And there's so many sites you can go on just about eating healthy and come up with great recipes. I mean, it's like you and I mean, we run into each other now at restaurants. And that was one of my hardest things. I was like, God, I'm never going to go out to eat again. But we found, the bunless hamburgers, those cheeseburgers are phenomenal.
Isn't that crazy? And that was a big thing I had trouble with is you go out to restaurants and I used to love hamburgers like, well, I guess I won't be having those anymore. And then somebody brought that up about just order it without the bun. I didn't even know that was a thing. And every single time I've asked a waitress if they serve their hamburgers without a bun, every single time they say, oh, yeah, we do that. People ask for that all the time. And that totally changed my world. Now I can have a big double patty burger with bacon and mushrooms all over the top of it. And they just put it on a bed of lettuce, and it's wonderful.
I made them the other night, and Rhonda's not much of a cheeseburger person. And I made them. She goes, oh my God, that was really, really good. And it's funny, you talk about mushrooms. My God, the mushrooms we go through now. I bet we go through a flat of mushrooms a week. And that's another thing.
They're so good for you.
Eating healthy, if you let it be, it can be expensive, but it doesn't have to be. Because when I go into the produce aisle, for example, I've educated myself to know that there's all kinds of things I can get that I can make good recipes out of. So if all of a sudden you see broccoli shot way up, well, I can get cauliflower. And you just go down the aisle and you look at whatever's reasonable and you get that. So you can eat on a pretty good budget, not have to worry about spending that money. And people will tell you, oh, I don't eat that way because it costs too much. Well, I think that's just an excuse for people to say, I'm just lazy. I don't want to make my own food.
That's exactly right.
Again, I enjoy doing that. So,
Now, and I really don't know this. Are you doing the time restricted eating? Are you eating in a narrow window also?
Yes.
Or are you not doing
I don't eat till, usually I eat depending on my work day, I eat between 11 and 12.
Mm-hmm.
And then I might have a bowl of fruit maybe in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And then we eat around 5:30, 6 o'clock at night, and that's it.
Yep. And that's perfect. And that's the other thing. So if you're basically only eating 2 meals, so that also helps with cost too. People talk about how expensive it is. Well, if you're only eating meat and vegetables and you're doing that only twice a day, you'd be amazed at how much money you save from not going through all the fast food restaurants and all the convenience stores and out to eat and all the other stuff that really adds up. And not to mention the medications, doctor bills, hospitalizations, everything else.
Well, that's a good point. My goals can be completely off all my medicine. And, when my next checkup, I'm going to, say, hey, where am I at on this? Do I need this stuff? Because I don't think I'm going to anymore. And that's another goal. I mean, it's just to get healthy, you got to get rid of all that crap that they prescribe you to put in your system. And you can do that by getting healthy or eating right.
Oh, yeah. Especially if you're on things like blood pressure medicines, statins, any of those medications, without a doubt, that is nutrition. And if you start eating healthy, you'd be amazed at how many medications you can come off of, which is exactly why I wrote the book, why I'm doing the podcast. I really do want to get people off medication and start living a good quality life.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I've known you for such a long time. I want people to know that this isn't something you just woke up one day and said, I think I'm going to write a book about nutrition. You've been talking to me about this forever. On the lake, we've been camping, whatever. Hey, what are you doing today? And what did you have for breakfast? And the thing is, it's not that you're trying to run it down people's throat. You generally care that people get better. And that's another thing that, when this happened, and it's like whenever I've had a medical something, I'm going to call Steve and see what he thinks, because I trust you. And,
thank you.
So by trusting you, you read the book, and like I said, it's very informative about a lot of things that you just don't think about. And I encourage everybody to buy it and read it. So,
well, hey, thank you. I was also going to ask you, did you do, like you were talking about, so Teresa and I did a 28-day challenge for anybody who wanted to join our challenge in January. And we really got a good turnout. And a lot of people were losing 20, 30 pounds. A lot of people lost 20 pounds just in that just in January. But one of the things we tell people is really, if you're going to do this, you really need to clean out your cabinets. Get rid of all the stuff that you should make, because you're going to be having cravings. And that's the worst thing you do when you start having cravings, when you start kind of backsliding a little bit. If you go to the counter and it's there, you're going to eat it. Exactly. So the best thing is just not have it there. Did you do that or did you not?
We did do that. Yeah, I mentioned that earlier. Yeah, and like I said, we only bring in stuff now that we're going to have for whatever we've planned for the week or however we're going to do it. And the cupboards were bare. We took everything out. One of the main things, I completely got rid of all the oils. It's like I read a thing the other day that said if it's called vegetable oil, why is there no vegetables in it?
Yeah. Vegetable oils are horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible,
so we got rid of all the oils, all the flours. Anything that was processed is gone. We make everything, from scratch pretty much.
Yeah. We're that same way. We had people come over that thought I was lying. And they'll go, oh, let me see your cupboards. Like, okay. So we open up our cupboards and it's all pots, pans, things like that. We have no food in our cupboards. Yeah. Our food all comes out of the refrigerator also. We may have I don't even know. Like we have coconut. I like to Greek yogurt, and actually Teresa's making her own yogurt now. And we'll put like large coconut flakes in it. So we may have like a bag of coconut flakes or something like that up in our cupboard or anything, but we have no processed food.
I never thought about putting the coconut flakes in there. That's a great idea.
Oh, it's wonderful. And I'll do that with the blueberries too. I'll do the Greek yogurt, the large flake coconut, and every now and then and throw some blueberries in there and maybe some walnuts. It just kind of varies. Depends on the day. But, it's a wonderful snack, and every single thing in there is healthy for you.
Yeah, that's another thing that, we do eat a lot of nuts now. I mean, well, I shouldn't say that. She's always been like that. She's always liked pistachios, things like that. So, but we don't get them with all that stuff on them. They're just like the almonds. They're just a natural almond.
Right.
And so we'll eat that for a snack. So like I said, basically around 11, I usually will do some eggs with some vegetables in it and cheese. And 2 eggs, just enough vegetables. I usually saute them in, I use my avocado like a butter.
Yeah.
And then I use that to saute it. And then, that makes those eggs just, when Rhonda first heard I was putting avocado, she goes, it's phenomenal. If you've not put avocado in your eggs, you need to do it.
As we do that with scrambled eggs. We'll do scrambled eggs. We'll mix it all up in it. Oh, it's wonderful.
Well, another thing you also say, I keep hard-boiled eggs around too. I'll hard-boil some up in case I do, get that little, I can just grab 1 egg and do it. And then at night, we usually have a protein, a vegetable, asparagus, Brussels sprouts, green beans.
Now, when you say protein, are you talking about a meat?
Yeah, I'm talking about, salmon.
Right.
Normally we'll either have salmon or, some type of beef. We'll do chicken every now and then. And that's about where we stay on it. And then we'll do a salad. And that's about it, And I mean, I've got a recipe that we do asparagus with, and I wrap bacon around it. It's phenomenal. And then Rhonda does her fresh cut green beans, and for lack of a better word, sautés the green beans in the bacon, and it's phenomenal.
I bet.
I think I'm eating tastier food, if that's the right verbiage I'm going to use there, than we were before. I mean, and it might be too because your palate, once again, I think you're cleansing your palate.
It is.
And it's opening up to better flavor.
It is. That's exactly what happens. Because it's so weird. I mean, the food companies have got everybody so addicted to sugar that now if you have somebody taste something, if it doesn't taste sweet, they say it tastes gross. No, that doesn't taste very good because it's sweet. Once you get that sweet, just get this taste of sweet off your tongue and start eating everything up. I actually like bitter now. I never used to like bitter. Now, every now and then I'll get something a little bit bitter. It's like, I kind of like that. Like the Greek yogurt is a perfect example. If you're so used to sugar and you eat Greek yogurt, you're probably going to think, oh my gosh, that is.
It's so funny you say that, because when I first started doing the Greek yogurt, I thought, oh my God, this is freaking awful. Now you put the blueberries in there and, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Or strawberry. The strawberries are great now. And I'll tell you, this is kind of funny. So, I played in a golf tournament last Sunday, and Famous Dave's catered it, and they're a great barbecue.
Oh, yeah.
So everybody got a lunchbox.
Mm-hmm.
And, so Dalton brings it over to me, and he goes, hey, here you go, Dad, and everything. So what do you think the first thing I did was? I opened up my sandwich, and I threw the bun away.
Yeah.
And I just ate the meat.
Yeah.
Yep, and that's all I had. There was chips in it. I gave to the guy that was one of the guys that was golfing with us. And, that's another thing. Your portion size, you don't eat as much. At least I'm finding. I don't know if it's just because I conditioned myself to just eat twice a day and eat smaller portions. I think your body adjusts to it. And growing up, I didn't grow up. I was poor growing up. I mean, we had a farm. And so when you ate everything on your plate, that's where you were taught to do.
Yep.
So for years, that's what I did. Now, can I get a to-go box for that? Or, hey, I'm just going to put this up when you have it for lunch tomorrow.
Yeah, or go out with your wife, go out with Rhonda and just split a meal, you know. And
we do a lot of that too now.
Yeah,
a lot of that, So
that's awesome. Oh, is there any? Because I know you cook. You're always cooking stuff. You're doing all these chefy things. We're pretty basic. What's one thing that you have learned that is very easy and something that everybody could do and it doesn't cost very?
I'll tell you something we did the other day, and once again, in my line of business, I work with a lot of chefs. I place them in different restaurants throughout the United States. And so I'll ask them, I said, hey, what's something easy to do? And I follow a lot of them now. And we use the air fryer quite a bit now. And because it's easy to do and it's quick. So there's a recipe where you take, Rhonda loves Philly cheesesteaks. Who doesn't?
Right.
I mean, come on. And so what you do is you take a thin piece of beef, And you can actually, at Aldi, you can buy a package, and it's probably about a 1/4 inch thick, and they're probably about 8 inches long, maybe 12. And you roll it out, and then you pound it out and tenderize it really good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then you take cream cheese and you just you let it soften and just run over the top of it. And then you take your mushrooms and your onions and green peppers and you put it on top of it, and then you roll it tight. And then you put your toothpicks on it, or if you can get the rope that they use for like cooking baked hams and things, tie it up and put it in the air fryer. 10 minutes at 395 on one side and flip it. 10 minutes for 395 on the other side. And then when it comes out, slices as a pinwheel. One of the best things you'll have. And
that sounds great.
We don't even cook. We don't even eat anything with it other than that. We don't usually. Well, every once in a while we might do a salad, but mainly we'll eat it. It's phenomenal. So that's one of my favorites.
Man,
matter of fact, I told it to Garrett. Garrett just recently came down with diabetes. My youngest son. Mm-hmm. He's doing a phenomenal job.
Yeah, he's type 1 diabetic, right?
Type 1 diabetic, right? Yeah. So which he's 27 years old now, and all of a sudden he's type 1 diabetic. It was kind of sad, but his thing is I'm going to eat right, and he's read the book and he's listening to me for recipes, and he did that, and so it was funny because he called a diet. He got a flat grill. Mm-hmm. So he can do vegetables and things like I do out on the grill, kind of the hibachi thing,
Yep.
And that's another thing I did. Have you done the zucchini noodles?
Oh, yeah.
Like you would lo mein?
Where you spiralize them.
Yeah.
Put them on a spiralizer and
If you like lo mein and you like that, you can take those zucchini noodles now and make it. And to me, it's just as good. And so
we use that for our spaghetti instead of having, the flour-based pasta. We'll do the spiralized zucchini or even the spaghetti squash. Break it and then just take a fork to it, and it comes off. It looks like spaghetti, and
we do.
I think it tastes a lot better.
Oh, I do too. I mean, once again, I think you cleanse your palate. It's just better flavor. I mean, it is, and we do a lot of stuffed peppers. And you can do them in all different ways. I mean, you can do a Philly cheese stuffed pepper. You can do, take fresh, make your own salsa if you want like a pizza type of flavor, and put your cheese in it with your hamburger and your pepper with a fresh cut salsa, and then top it with cheese and put it in there and melt it. It's phenomenal. So, I might have to write a cookbook and send it over.
Yeah, you might. And get tested on us.
Yeah.
That's another thing. You brought Garrett up as far as being a type 1 diabetic. And that's why I've been, talking to people too, because most of my stuff is on type 2 diabetes, because that is type 2 diabetes is because of the nutrition. It is because of what you eat. No medication will ever get you off type 2 diabetes. You have to change your diet. That's the only way. In fact, most medications work. They think that diabetes is a glucose problem, and it's not. It's an insulin problem. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people, they don't realize that the medicine that they're taking for their type 2 diabetes is actually making the diabetes worse, because it actually stimulates your pancreas to produce insulin. But talking with Garrett, talking about even type 1 diabetics, even though you're not producing any insulin at all, if you would quit eating carbohydrates, which gets turned, as soon as it goes into your intestine, it gets turned immediately into glucose, and then that gets put in your blood. Well, then what they tell people, and I know this because I know the dietetic nutritionist at the hospital where I used to work, and they actually would tell people that, eat whatever carbs you want, try to keep your portions low, and then just add up how many carbs, and that's how you know how much insulin to give yourself. But people aren't connected. It's like, well, so that means if I don't give myself any carbs, then I'm going to be using very, very little insulin, and it's going to save you a lot of money because insulin's so expensive. Mm-hmm. Didn't you say that Garrett started doing that also? So now he's staying away from carbs and said that the amount of insulin that he's using is way down now.
It is. It sure is. Yep.
See, and I think that's wonderful. I think that's things that people really need to understand. Even if you're type 1 diabetic, if you don't put the glucose in your mouth, you're not going to have to put the insulin in your skin, to bring that glucose level down.
Yeah, but that's true.
And you also brought up the hot air fryer. That's another thing that I haven't talked about. Our microwave went out on us about 1.5 years ago. We thought, well, let's just see if we can go without it. So we got us a hot air fryer. We've never used it again. Now it's just sitting up there taking up space. The hot air fryer, we could do everything with a hot air fryer, and you just feel more clean.
Well, it's funny because being in the restaurant industry as long, I've been, if you think about it, over 40 years I've been in the restaurant industry, and one way or the other. And when I heard air fryer, actually it was Carissa, my daughter, said, "Oh, Dad, you need to get an air fryer. You can cook a steak in there that's good." I ran steakhouses for 20 years, and that was like sacrilegious, what? Putting it in. I thought she was crazy. Yeah. Well, we get one, and I thought, okay, I'm going to try it. Oh my God, it's one of the best steaks you'll have. I was just blown away by it. I mean, it was like, wow. And once again, if you like that crunch and feel it, the air fryer will do it. I mean, we do Brussels sprouts in there.
Yes, we do
we'll smash them up, and it's just great. I mean, there's just so many things you can do with it. And I'm always throwing something in the air fryer to see how it's going to work. I hard boiled an egg in it the other day because they said you could, and
did it work? It did work.
Fine.
See, we tried that and it didn't work.
Yeah. Well, you got to keep it down and you got to kind of follow it. But I just love playing around in the kitchen. So,
Oh, I know. So are there any other, you mentioned hard-boiled eggs. Is there anything else that you keep in the refrigerator or keep around for when you are having those times? Because there are times, I mean, just depending on your day, your hydration, your sleep, your work, your stress, there are times that you're just going to be hungry. And that's when you don't want to go reach for, carbs or processed food. But what kind of protein or anything do you have sitting around?
It's usually cheese and like salami or something to go, no crackers or anything with it, just cheese. And, you can get beef sticks.
Yep.
Actually, the ones I get, once again, from Aldi, there's 0 sugar in them.
Yeah.
And
right.
So I usually, my rule is 2 of those, and they're not very big. They're probably about 4 inches, 2 of those. And then you can buy the cheese cubes.
Yeah.
Already cubed up. And then, and that's another thing.
Or buy whole cheese and just cube it yourself.
I have and I mentioned this to Teresa today. I showed her my little bowl. I have a little bowl. This is what I have for my snack. It's just a little bitty bowl. She goes, oh my God, Steve's got his little bitty bowl. Yeah. But I do. I have a bowl because I don't need any more than that. Can I eat more than that? Yes. Do I need more than that? No. And the funny thing about it is once you eat it, you walk away from it. 4 minutes, 5 minutes later, you're not hungry any longer.
Right.
And it reminded me of a lady in Conway, Arkansas. She was talking about all the people that came in and ate at our buffet. And she goes, oh my God, look at these people going back and forth. And I said, yeah. I said, boy, they'll tear up that chicken and stuff. And she goes, a good rule is that when food starts really tasting good, that's when you should stop eating. Then you're just eating to be eating. And I thought, wow, you know what? That kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you're just eating to be eating, Yeah.
And that's the thing. And we do now. I mean, even when I was in the hospital, when I was working in the hospital, that's one thing we could do with the kids. If the kids were sick and we were assessing, were they getting better besides doing your blood work and everything, is if they get an appetite. Because once they start getting an appetite, when they're ready to drink and when they're ready to eat, now we know that the infection's getting better. They're starting to perfuse their guts again and everything. You can't do that with adults because adults, they'll say they're hungry, even though they're not. So they may not even have an appetite, but it's just habit. It's either a habit that they're eating or it's a stress that they're eating or, something else. So once people realize why are they eating, are they truly, truly hungry? And a lot of times people think they're hungry and really they're just thirsty. So that's another thing because people do not get in the amount of water they need to be drinking for maintenance. And they need to have your body weight divided by 2. And that's the number of ounces you should have every single day, all throughout the day. But that is one thing, since there is so many people who eat just because they're bored or they don't know what else to do. And if they realize that and they start getting hungry, that's the first thing we tell them is first drink a glass of water, bottle of water, whatever you want to drink water. And then just go do something. Just get your mind off of it, get sidetracked. And if you're still hungry, then you can go back and just make sure that you're eating a good protein and fat, not the processed carbs. Right. But a lot of times just distracting yourself and all of a sudden you find out you're not hungry anymore. It's kind of crazy.
That's what happens. It is because I think you're right about that. I think that was one of my things. It was eating out of boredom. You're sitting around, you finally, you get done with work or whatever, 6:30, 7 o'clock, you sit down and you start to relax. And then, if you're watching TV or you're reading a book, you know what? I think I'm going to grab something. And if it's in the cupboard, you're going to grab it. If it's not in the cupboard, you're going to think, and I'll just get some water. I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I know.
And you're good to go. So, it's just crazy how, I probably ate more, but it's between 7 and 10:30 at night than any other hours of the day.
That's what you used to do?
Yes.
Or you do
I'm
now?
almost positive. Not now.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, I eat 11 and we eat around 5:30, 6 o'clock, and that's pretty much it. And if I get hungry, I try not to if I'm going to have a snack, I try to do it before 7. I really don't want to have anything after 7 o'clock. And then that's like exactly I said, I get my little bowl, of fruit or the yogurt or, fruit and yogurt, and I'm kind of good with it. But it's so funny you mentioned that on the bitterness because I was the same way. And now I've kind of developed a taste for the bitter food.
Yeah. So. It's really crazy how your tastes really do change, and I was the same way. I was a Dr. Pepper and Mountain Dew addict. And that's what, and I even said that in one of my podcasts. When I first started drinking like sparkling water, because Teresa got me onto sparkling water and I thought, oh my gosh, this is horrible. And I know the reason I thought that at that time was because we used to always go to the fountains, the soda fountains.
Yeah.
And so you go and you get your soda. And sometimes I'd go to get like a Mountain Dew or something and go to take a drink and realize that it was totally out of syrup and all the carbonation coming through.
Right.
And I hated that taste. Well, now when I started drinking the bubbly water, that's what it first made me think of. Is I flash right back to those and think, oh my gosh, this is horrible carbonated water. And now it's a treat. I'll have a Pellegrino or a LaCroix or something like that. And that's like a little treat, having a little bubbly water in there. It's crazy how you really can change your taste, change what you have appetites for. You can change all that. And it doesn't take very long at all to change those tastes.
No, it really doesn't. I was surprised by it, and now it's just like, I get on the Rhonda show, people will go, God, Maurie really looks good. He's lost some weight. What kind of diets he's on? And Rhonda go, well, and I said, I'm not on a diet. I'm on a lifestyle. I changed how I eat.
That's exactly right.
That's all it is. I mean, and you bring up a good point. A lot of people think, I've got to work out and I got to do that. Yes, that's part of it, doing your cardio and all that. But you don't have to become a gym rat to lose the weight. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions with people when they do. And let's face it, they're good for a certain period of time is what I've read and seen. And, and it's just not going to work for you.
No, if you're just going to do a diet, guarantee you're going to be heavier when you get off that diet, because diets don't work. You have to actually change to eat nutritious food. And your body knows. That's usually because, your body is looking for nutrients. And if you keep putting all this processed food in your belly, you are not getting any nutrients, and it knows. And that's why it keeps you hungry. And so you keep eating and eating and eating, and you never get that nourishment. But once you change, you're talking about eating a whole bunch at once. There's actually a physician that I know that also does this. And actually, he's a carnivore. And so he doesn't even eat vegetables. He just eats meat, and he's extremely healthy. And that's what he tells people, because he has a large following also. And he tells people, hey, you eat, if you just eat meat, and that's all, just eat meat, and you can eat as much as you want all the time. What he found out was people, they're so used to eating all the time. Like people eat, they're usually putting something in their mouth about every 3-4 hours. That's the habit they've come up, and the type of food that they're eating makes them hungry for that amount of time. So these people, he said, they would do that with the meat. They would eat meat like every 3-4 hours, and they would get so sick, because what they found out is that meat keeps you feeling full. So you've put protein and fat in your stomach. It's going to keep you feeling full. It's going to be going through all the intestines, and it keeps releasing hormones that make you continuously feel full. So people were gorging themselves, and they started winning themselves back to just saying you can have all you want. They ended up only eating like twice a day anyway.
Right.
For the exact same reason. Like when you're eating healthy, you're not hungry, and you don't have to eat a lot. That's why it's easy to do the time restricted eating, because you're eating food that nourishes your body. So you don't have to be eating every 2-3 hours. I mean, it's crazy.
Well, and once again, marketing has convinced people, you got to have breakfast, healthiest meal of the day. Well, no, it's not.
Nah, depends on what you eat, but not what they're promoting.
Well, do you ever watch, what is it? It's on Discovery, I believe. It's Foods That Made America.
I don't think so.
If you haven't got a chance to watch them, watch some of them, because the thing that intrigues me more about it is the marketing to get people to eat things.
Oh, I know.
And it goes into the sugar, and it goes in, how they convince people that, breakfast was the most important meal of the day. That was just a marketing ploy that they threw out at America. And it really didn't mean anything, but it's kind of, you kind of watch it and you think, wow, we have really been duped over the last 40 to 50 years.
We just went to a ketogenic conference, and there was a speaker there, and I didn't know he had a whole talk about how we've been duped, even with the term pre-diabetes. That was just some guys. There were 6 guys, and I won't say what drug companies are from and food companies, but they were a combination of drug companies, food companies, that got together in a room, and they were trying to figure out how they could start selling more diabetic drugs. And so they came up with this term of pre-diabetes, which there really is no such thing. That's just a thing they do. And they say, that's when your A1C is doing, 5.7 and 6.4. And it was all made up. It was made up because then they can say, okay, you've got pre-diabetes, so now we're going to start prescribing you this. And again, the medication used for diabetes actually makes the diabetes worse. And so, I mean, it's crazy when you look at marketing and people who have a lot of money and how they can sway you. So, I mean, there comes a point that you got to take your health into your own hands, and just kind of look around you, and you don't want to be eating like everybody else, because the majority of people are extremely unhealthy. And what's so sad is a lot of them are young, and they're getting younger and younger, all the time. But these people who are young, they don't realize back when you and I were younger, there weren't all these obese people around. They weren't there. And now they're everywhere. And so the people that we used to not see get sick until they were like in their, 60s, 70s, now these kids are going to be starting to get sick when they're in their 30s and their 40s. And it's really a horrible thing. And that's why I truly do care. And I do want to try to change people's ways.
Yeah.
But what about water? You said that you drink water. Have you had trouble getting your amount of water in? Because I knew that was a big change for you also.
Well, it was, but that was more because of the prostate cancer I had and the series I had to go through. But instead of trying to drink it, when you first start, I got to get my water in now. So you want to drink it all at once, Well, I got all day to drink my water. Okay. Yeah. So,
in fact, it's better if you go do it all
through the day. You get your water, you sit it here and you drink it throughout the day, and then you've got your intake in. So, so you've got to, it's just funny when you start into something, you're so gung ho about it. You got to sit back and think, okay, I got to make a plan of how I'm going to make this work. And so that's what I had to do. So,
yeah. That's why if you see me out, you're probably going to see a bottle in my hand. Yeah. If it's not in my hand, it's out in the car waiting for me. I just have it there all the time.
Yeah. And we basically, use our filtered system. We don't do bottled water anymore.
Right.
We just do it through our filtration system. And it's because Dalton's here too with us. And so, Dalton's always been a big water drinker. And so there was no reason to have anything else in the house, to be really honest, and I opened the refrigerator out in January. Rhonda's father came over, and he likes his Diet Coke, and he's at 82 years old, and he's not going to change. It's still out there, and it's not even open, and I thought I need probably just throw that away or clean my car battery with it or something.
That's right.
About all it's good
do
for,
something
really.
Productive with it. Yeah. Don't put it in your body.
Yeah. So,
and that's another thing. I mean, diet soda, if you're trying to wean yourself off the taste of sugar and off these sugar sweetened beverages, and you want to go to diet for a little while as a step, that's perfectly fine. But people who think that they're drinking diet anything and they think it's healthy, it's not, because even just putting that sweet taste in your mouth, it's called the cephalic phase. You put that sweet taste in your mouth and your body is getting ready. It thinks you're getting ready to eat something sweet. So you automatically get your insulin levels start going up, which is exactly what you don't want to do. So just the fact that you're putting sweet things in your mouth, you're still getting your insulin levels up. So, if you're on diet soda, that's fine for a bit. But if you really do want to get healthy, try to wean yourself off that also. I mean,
I don't tell people to drink it anyway. It's just nasty.
Especially now. Yeah. Now I just crave water now. I mean, it's just a change you got to make.
Yep. Yeah, it's true. You just got to make yourself do it. And once again, what you said it earlier, you can have bad habits or you can develop your good habits. Mm-hmm. And that's what you do with this change. You just develop better habits of how you eat. And you just got it. But like I said, I just happened when I said about going out the refrigerator, this is how we've changed. We've had a freezer for probably 25 years. And it finally went out. And we always kept it packed full of stuff. Mm-hmm. I didn't get one because we don't keep a whole, when we need it, we go get it. Right. So once again, to reinforce that if you don't have it in the house, you're not going to eat it. So I guess what my philosophy now is to eat the freshest possible food that I possibly can. I don't buy any meats that are frozen or anything like that. Actually, I just have a friend of mine who I play golf with, Hank. He raises cattle. So he said, hey, when we butcher, I'll get what you want and come up. And I said, well, I don't want to freeze it. He goes, hey, we've always got it fresh down here. Come down and get it. It's down in Highlandville. So I run down and get it. And good to go. So,
No, we do freeze ours because we get a side of beef also. Every year we'll buy a side of beef and we keep that in the freezer. They vacuum seal it and we know that's grass fed and grass finished beef. And it's good when you know the farmer and it's grass finished. Mm-hmm. That helps a lot.
And that's what Hank says too. So if anybody needs it, holler. He's got plenty of it. So.
Well, the guy that we used to get ours from, I guess he's not going to be doing it anymore. So we'll probably get hold of you and find that.
Seriously.
We will.
Yeah. Maybe we'll go in on one.
Yeah, really. Yeah. Is there anything else that you can think of that was like a challenge or an eye-opening awakening or anything as you started going through your lifestyle change? And now that how much did you say you've lost now?
I've lost 26 pounds.
26.
And I've not gained anything back. Now, we talked about this the other day, the water weight.
Yeah.
I'll fluctuate down there. And my goal, I'm sitting right at 243, and I was at 269.
Man.
And so my goal is by the end of May, I would like to be in the 230s. And really, I want to get in, that below 220 by fall. And I really think I can do it.
And really, you don't have to race either. I mean, that's great, and goals are great. But as long as you're going the right direction, it's not a sprint. You don't have to hurry up and try to get there. And now I'm great. Just as long as you know you're slowly eating healthy and the weight's coming off.
The first month, I dropped 10 pounds like that.
Yeah.
And then I was happy seeing 1 or 2 pounds a week. So I'm happy with that, as long as I'm not regressing and going the other way.
Right. And that's the surest way to keep it off, too.
And it's funny, too. We talk about habits. We all want to go out and bend our elbow and have a few beers now and then. That's just our age group. We like to do that. I find myself now when I go out, I always order a glass of water.
Yeah.
So my beer will sit there for 30 minutes, as I drink it. And then my water will be empty before my beer will.
Yeah.
You can still go out and enjoy yourself, have that type of lifestyle, but yet you're not loading up on one or the other,
Right.
So you can do it. And it's like, we'll go out and order a pitcher of beer. Well, if you got 4 guys, that's 1 glass apiece, then that's how I think now, so, here, let me give you one. And, if there's a little left in the pitcher, it goes to somebody else, not me. So you just got to retrain your brain to go someplace else and drink something else. Let me see.
Yeah, you really do. And that's where, especially we're not out there to drink beer to get drunk.
No.
We've grown up with it, so we like the taste of it, but it really is just something to drink. So it's no big deal to sit there and have a drink of beer and then have some water and then have a drink of beer and just kind of go back and forth, because you're really it's more just having something to drink, because now I'm so used to drinking. I always have my water bottle with me everywhere. I'm just used to drinking something.
Yeah, and I think that's it. You're sitting and watching a game. It's just, you want another beer? Yeah. You don't really want it. You're just saying, yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's just, what? Just give me a glass of water.
Right. Which goes back to not keeping it in the house.
Yeah, exactly. And then it goes back out to what we were saying about eating out. I think that was one of the things that scared me the most, because we do like to go out and we like to, get out of the house because we work at home. So that's a big thing. There's so many places now that are adapting to healthy eating. It's not that hard any longer. And then you're going to find out the restaurants that are and the ones that aren't. And I don't remember, of course, we didn't do it, believe it or not, we didn't do a whole lot of fast food. And I can't remember the last time we had any fast food, but we went up to Herman, Missouri this couple of weeks ago. And, we were worried about what they were going to have there. Well, we were fortunate enough that we had a Airbnb right in the downtown area. It's a beautiful little town. And so we'd go back and eat at the Airbnb, and we didn't really eat out, but maybe once or twice the whole time we were there, just because we wanted to have something different. Right. And at that time, we went to, it's a pizza parlor that's known there. So you go in, you get a cauliflower pizza crust, you got to kind of watch it because they're good, because, cauliflower's carbs, but you got to kind of watch it, but you're still eating healthier than what you would have if you.
Right, better than the flour crust.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's the wildest thing, is the floured items that I've gotten off of.
Yeah.
Breads and all that.
Yeah, it's horrible, because flour is just glucose. It's powdered glucose. So if you're eating flour, you're eating glucose. So anything that has bread, pasta, anything like that, that's glucose you're putting in. So if you're type 1 or type 2 diabetic, either one, you really need to avoid that stuff. That's the best way to keep your glucose. You want to keep your glucose and your insulin low. And the only way to keep both of those low is to not eat the carbohydrates, not eat the glucose. And if you don't eat the glucose, then your body's not going to think it's going to have to produce any insulin.
Right.
So yeah, that's wonderful.
There's a lot of good, talking about going, a lot of good farmers markets you can go to.
Yes.
And it's fun. Because then people get to know who you are, and they'll go, oh, hey, guess what I got in for you? So that's nice too. And then, of course, it's been so doggone cold this spring, getting a garden up and growing, but it's fun to do that. It's just, shoot, if we're raising flowers, we can grow some tomatoes. We can grow some cucumbers. That's another thing. I eat a ton of cucumbers anymore. It's just weird. You were talking about sweet things. One of my favorite things are the little bitty red, yellow peppers.
Yellow,
and orange.
Yes.
I can eat them. It's as good as eating an orange or an apple. They are phenomenal. I'll sit and eat on those for a snack in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Yep, I like those too.
And they're sweet.
Yeah.
And
you don't feel bad. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't feel bad about it either, So Well, so there's a lot of things that you can substitute if you have that sweet tooth, don't be afraid. I mean, you can always adapt something. So,
Yeah. Well, is there anything else? I was thinking when you start doing this, what was the very, very hardest thing? Did you say that was the water intake or was that the quitting the sugar?
Sugar was the worst. The water intake was just because of having the radiation on my prostate. So that's probably not going to be in a lot of people's wheelhouse. Right. Sugar was the hardest because everything I ate had sugar in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't realize it till you start eating like this and you think, oh my God, that has sugar in it. This has a sugar in it. And then, I get that list of the 75 different things that are called something different and it's all sugar.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's weird because once you start doing this, you go out to the grocery store and you just start looking at, pick up condiments, pick up anything, pick up bread. Yeah. Some of these breads, they're bread. Teresa and I went out there. We actually did a video. We just did a little video of picking up just normal things that people buy. And the amount of the sugar in these grains are touting this as a 12 whole grain bread. It's so healthy. Besides all the glucose that was in the flour to make the bread, they put an extra 1 teaspoon of sugar per slice of bread in there. Yeah. And they know exactly what they're doing. Like you said, just like in that show, it's called the bliss point. They actually have people come in and they have them test what the bliss point is. So they have different ranges of sugar from none to a lot. And then they have different people do it and they say which level is where they consider their bliss point. And that's how they come up with that. So they know that they're giving you sugar. They know that you're addicted to sugar. They know that sugar is going to make you hungry. You just keep buying their products and they're just making money hand over fist.
That's exactly right. It's follow the dollar. And that's what they're doing. Yeah. They're making money off of it.
So I highly recommend everybody going to the grocery store and just turn over the back and just looking at the amount of sugar. And like Maurie said, there's all kinds of names for it. So you can't just look at the ingredient list. Yeah. And another thing is this whole fat-free, low-fat, which we've already said that's total nonsense. That fat is not what makes you fat. It is the carbohydrates and the glucose that makes you fat. So that's one thing that everybody could do. Go to the grocery store, get the exact same manufacturer, the exact same brand of, say, like salad dressing, and get a regular salad dressing, same brand, same flavor, and get the low fat and get the fat free and look on the back and see how much sugar they put in, because the more fat they take out, the more sugar they put in. So now they're telling everybody, eat everything that's fat free and low fat, while they're sitting there feeding you full of sugar. And we end up getting more fat because of the sugar. It's proven time and time again that the low fat, fat free craze is absolutely wrong and makes no sense whatsoever. But man, you watch commercials and they still push all that, you know.
It was funny that you mentioned that, because that was one of the first things you told us is, hey, when you go to the grocery store, look and see what's in there. Now, as you go through, you know what it all is. And it's just like pasta sauce. I mean, if you want to make spaghetti using your zucchini noodles, you don't want to buy pasta sauce. It's full of sugar. No. Oh, yeah. And you can make you get some Roma tomatoes and you can make some great pasta sauce. And, once again, I don't want people to be scared about cooking, because you can make it work. You don't have to have fancy, like you said, you're more like a chef type. I like to do that, but get on the internet and start, researching the things you can make. And there's so many different things out there that are just, so easy to do. And it's just crazy,
Yeah. And just stay, like you started saying, just stay away. If you're going to use some kind of an oil, just stay away from the vegetable oils and seed oils.
Speaking of, so what are let's discuss that. Some of the, I asked you that question. I said, what's some good oils? And you told me,
the good oils that you want to stick with are extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, and avocado oil.
Yep.
Those are the three. And if you're going to do a fat, just use real beef tallow or real, lard from a pig. Or like real butter. Real butter is great.
You know how hard it is to get real butter anywhere anymore?
Yes, I do.
I mean, it's hard. I mean, your bigger stores, they don't carry it. Even Aldi doesn't carry it. You have to go someplace that specializes to get butter.
I know Teresa gets Kerrygold, and that's what we eat is Kerrygold. Kerrygold. I actually haven't looked at it because Teresa looks at all this stuff too. She knows what to look for. So I just kind of trusted her.
Right.
But that's a good one too. And that's where you got to be careful of when you go out to eat. If you're going to get something, even if you're going to get, whatever, chicken nuggets or, whatever fried thing out there, French fries, whatever. Vegetable oils are extremely cheap, and that's why we've been lied to from the food manufacturers saying that they're good for us, which they're absolutely horrible for us. They cause inflammation all over our bodies, but it's very cheap. So when you go out, you might ask your restaurant, but chances are they're going to be using some kind of a sunflower oil, soybean oil, which is the absolute worst. And it really does. You're just putting inflammation into your body. But there's a place here downtown, down on C Street, and they actually use beef tallow. And that's how they fry all their food, is with beef tallow. It's like, that is wonderful. I wish more restaurants would do that.
It's all about the cost. I mean, when you're, I said, we fried a ton of stuff, and it was also oil. I mean, you got whatever the cheapest. I mean, you're worried about their food costs. Where are they going to do it?
Yep.
And then, you look at, hopefully they're cleaning their fryers and everything, because it even makes it worse on you, all that crap that's in there. It just,
that's where for you. You learn, find the restaurants you like. And when you shop the perimeter, just don't even go down the center aisles. Just go around, shop the deli, your produce, real fruits, real vegetables, your whole milk. Don't get the skim or 1% or 2%. That's all marketing ploy. And again, that's the chemicals and everything you put in that to get the fat out. It's not worth it. Just eat the real stuff that we've been having ever since the beginning of time. That's really what it looks like. I mean, you didn't see a lot of people back in, even the Native Americans. I mean, processed food. Oh my gosh, they'd have no idea.
Yeah. So, and they, and think what they ate. It was pretty much a protein-based diet.
Oh yeah. Yep. I've got a good friend. He's actually got a show, and I'm going to have him on my podcast also, but he's got a reality show called The Great Human Race, and it's on Prime, and it just him and another girl got dropped down in the middle of nowhere, and they're in different locations for 10 days at a time, and they have to live off the land. They can't have any natural thing, no knives, no nothing. They have to, no lighters, no nothing. And you'll find when they're out there, when they are starving to death, that is all they're looking for is meat. They want meat and fat, meat and fat, meat and fat. They'll kill an animal and just sit there and just scrape the fat out and just start eating it, because that is our true energy source. And we were never supposed to use carbohydrates for our energy. And ever since we started doing that, our health has just really plummeted.
That's so true.
But anyway, well, Maurie, is there anything else, anything that I haven't asked you or anything?
No, I believe you covered just about everything. Like I said, it's not a diet, it's a life change. And if you're really serious about it, this is the way to go. I mean, anybody can call me if you want to hear from the horse's mouth, call me. Because it's funny because I'm so passionate about it now. I talk to everybody about it.
Yeah. And thank you. Thank you, by the way, for that.
It's not a problem at all. I mean, like I said, it wasn't you woke up one day and said, I'm going to write a book about this. You've talked about it for a long time. And once you get in it, you start living it, you go, why wasn't I doing this 10 years ago, 20 years ago?
Yeah,
so I highly encourage people to take it serious.
Yeah. And when you see the people who have read the book or have listened to podcasts or have contacted me that have started doing this, and it really is changing their lives, it is the greatest feeling in the world to know that you're giving information that can actually change people's lives. And they thought that they were bound to be sick and depressed and tired and lazy and, for the rest of life. And all of a sudden they're not.
The energy you get, I mean, your energy levels just, it's unreal how much more, because you got, I think that sugar, once again, that was my hardest. I think that sugar just drags you down.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Especially when you start off your morning with it, like the food companies are trying to tell you on the commercials. Start your day off with this carbohydrate cereal and this sugar-laden fruit juice, and here, take a granola bar with you. It just carb, and you're just tired. You had that middle of the day slump.
Yep,
man. You start eating healthy. You don't eat that first meal, until around 10, 11, something like that. And you start drinking water, and you don't get that. I don't get that middle of the night day slump. I used to be tired around 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon anymore. I'm never tired like that anymore.
Yeah, me either. Yeah, I'm a lot more energetic than I have been in years, and I really enjoy that, and it's nice. I mean, I'm going to be 63 this year, and it's nice people come up and go, man, you don't look your age. And then I'm like, well, thank you,
Don't feel my age.
Yeah, I don't feel it either, So.
Well, Maurie, I want to thank you so much for coming on here and being with us and telling everybody about your story and what you've done and what you're still doing, which I'm so glad that you're making a lifestyle change.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. We'll have to do it a year from now, and we'll even talk how much better it is,
Yeah. And I expect to see that weight lower.
Oh yeah. Well, so will I. I mean, there's not going to be any doubt about it at all. I mean, I'm very passionate. I mean, I have a passion for it now. And, and it's, like I said, it's not difficult at all. I mean, once you
Set your mind to it.
Not even goals, just once you get the habits going, it's no different than what all that crap we were doing before. So
That's right. That's right. Just change your habits, change your thoughts, change your habits.
Yep. That's it.
Well, Maurie, thank you so much for being
Steve,
on
once
here.
Once again, thank you.
You're welcome. And I guess that'll be it for our podcast for today. I hope people learned something, maybe got something that could help them along their path as well. So thank you so much for listening and have a great week. And remember, make simple, healthy choices to live a quality life. If you enjoyed this podcast, please hit the subscribe button below and be sure to tell someone else who may want to change their health path as well. And don't forget, you can also purchase my book, Your Plate is Your Fate, on Amazon or Audible. And if you do, please leave a review.